What do planning a wedding, having young children, working for a boss who's extremely difficult to please, being stuck in a bad relationship, having family members that are always criticizing you for every decision you make, and trying to build a business have in common? I'll give you a hint. It's a 6-letter word. You got that right. STRESS. Stress. Many people live in a constant heightened state of stress because of the times we're living in right now. Of course, your situation might be completely different from the scenarios I previously painted, but one thing holds true when it comes to the subject of stress. That no matter what your specific circumstances might be, stress in the workplace, in the family, in relationships, or in business are not always due to external causes. You're listening to Shift Happens Every Day, podcast episode number 6. And today, we will be talking about the 12 habits that encourage stress in your life and how to break them.
If each one of us is a work in progress, and we are constantly being quote-unquote worked on by our master creator, then that means every day we are growing. Every day we are evolving. Every day we are expanding. And so that also means that where we are standing right now in life may not provide sufficient space to allow for that expansion. And so what do? We shift. You may not have realized this yet, but you shift every day. We shift positions, we shift gears, we shift directions, we shift perspectives. This is just a natural and beautiful part of life. Hi, this is Myla Saavedra. My weekly podcast, Shift Happens Every Day, is all about finding just the right tiny adjustments we can make every single day to make room for these shifts in life without being overwhelmed or shocked. And most importantly, without the need to be perfect. I invite you to subscribe to my brand new podcast show, Shift Happens Every Day. Episodes will be released once every week. So come as you are, bring your favorite cup of joe, and let's get ready to make a big shift.
Hey there, it's Myla Saavedra, and welcome to another episode of Shift Happens Every Day. Now that we've established a strong game plan for starting the year on the right mindset, it's time to talk about how we are going to watch out for and protect ourselves from potential pitfalls. And one of the main pitfalls we often find ourselves caught in is stress. Many people live in a constant heightened state of stress because of the times we're living in right now. Of course, your situation might be completely different from the scenarios I previously painted in the episode intro, but one thing holds true when it comes to the subject of stress. That no matter what your specific circumstances might be, stress in the workplace, in the family, in relationships, or in business are not always due to external causes. Keep in mind that stress is a normal reaction to the pressures of everyday life. It is your body's natural response to whatever your mind perceives as a potential danger or a threat. And the thing is, certain conditions or environments can trigger a cascade of unwanted feelings. But here's a truth bomb for you. How you feel about a situation is greatly influenced by your mental perception of the situation, which has everything to do with your mindset. Boom. Mic drop. Let me pick that mic up again and say that one more time because it's extremely important. How you feel about a situation is greatly influenced by your mental perception of the situation, which has everything to do with your mindset. And mic drop again. Boom. Maybe you haven't realized this before, but did you know that an effective way of dealing with stress is to prevent it from surfacing in the first place? which actually means you have to stop it right where it begins, in your mind. So let's examine the 12 habits or behavioral patterns that you might be guilty of doing right now that's causing you stress. And since we don't have enough time to cover all 12, we will make yet another mini-series out of this. Today, we will cover the first 4 habits, and we will consider this part 1 of the series. So the first habit that does nothing for you but to encourage stress in your life is the habit of trying to please everyone. No man can serve 2 masters. This age-old wisdom can be traced back to the Gospel of Matthew from the Bible. And I'm going to use this biblical piece of wisdom to drive my point. You can't possibly aim to keep everyone happy and expect to find happiness in the process. Nope, not gonna happen. When you try to make everybody happy, you set aside your own needs and your own happiness. This inevitably results in you feeling mentally, emotionally, and physically drained. Not to mention feelings of being disregarded and unappreciated, especially when the people you've tried so hard to cater to don't seem to show any signs of appreciation. Eventually, you end up losing your self-respect with absolutely nothing left to give or offer to anyone because you're so depleted. And let's be honest, trying to please everyone is a wildly foolish pursuit. It's like a greased pig chase. And yes, it's as difficult and as ridiculous as it sounds. Because everyone has different needs, preferences, and priorities. So you can't go on thinking that you could possibly meet everyone's expectations of you. And seriously, why should you worry about whether or not you're quote-unquote good enough for anyone? The only person you should aim to be good enough for is you. If you don't think you're good enough for you, then trying to measure up to somebody else's expectations is kind of a moot point anyway, isn't it? According to Mind Valley coach and author Ajit Nawalkar, the best way to stop being a people pleaser is to stop being affected by the outcome of your actions or inactions on others. You need to train your subconscious mind to believe that it doesn't really matter whether or not someone liked what you did. Because seriously, each of us is running his own race. And at the end of the day, whether you did the right thing or not, you are the one who pays the price for it. You are the one who lives with the consequences or suffers the consequences of your own actions. So what you need to do instead is to focus more on yourself and become less invested in pleasing others. Canadian journalist Elizabeth Parker once said that the only thing wrong with trying to please everyone is that there's always at least one person who will remain unhappy. You. And what have I told you previously about that? You always have to choose you. Not in a selfish, self-absorbed way, but in a gotta protect my sanity and joy kind of way. Because nobody else will do that for you. So it's your own responsibility to protect and preserve your own joy, peace, and sanity, so that there's more of you that you can share with the people you love. But you'll constantly fail at that if you're making people-pleasing your priority instead. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're always drained and depleted, you're no good to yourself and you're no good to anyone. The next habit to break is holding on to expectations. In a previous post that I wrote for Thrive Global about the mindset that you need to adopt in order to experience more joy in life, I pointed out that most of our problems stem from unmet expectations that we have placed in ourselves and in the people we love. We expect to receive, to feel, to be something because deep down in our subconscious, we believe that we are somehow owed something and we are entitled to have that which we expect to receive. This sense of entitlement is a serious flaw in your mindset and is what's causing serious stress and anxiety in your life. You need to stop it. In order to overcome the tendency to hold on to expectations, you need to switch to a mindset of, here's that word again, gratitude. But in this context, I'm emphasizing gratitude because adopting a mindset of gratitude means developing an awareness that life and everything that comes with it is a gift. When someone gives you a gift, you don't complain that it wasn't what you were hoping to receive, do you? Of course not. But you express your appreciation to the giver for having thought of you and given you a present when he or she could have chosen not to, right? I think Gary Vaynerchuk's statement was right on the money when he said, and I quote, "You need to understand that nobody owes you anything. This understanding and lack of expectation allow me to be comfortable providing 51% of the relationship because in having zero expectations and not assuming someone will reciprocate on the other end, I've got everything to gain." And that's really how we should all embrace life, realizing that life doesn't owe any of us anything. And this realization actually works in our favor because it eliminates stress. According to English poet Alexander Pope, "Blessed is he who expects nothing, for he shall never be disappointed." And I totally agree. Now let's move on to habit number 3, which is not communicating your needs. In my own experience as a mindset coach, I have met quite a number of people who stayed in jobs or relationships that are, at best, not satisfying them or making them extremely miserable at the worst. What's fascinating is that each of these individuals knew exactly what he or she needed, and yet none of them dared to express that need. Why is that? Many people choose not to communicate their feelings to their partners, to their family, their friends, or their employers because of this one distorted belief that the change they're hoping for is not available to them. When you choose not to communicate your needs because you're afraid that it might be received with indifference or resistance, and you simply want to avoid any confrontation or conflict that might possibly result from it, what you're really saying is that you don't believe you deserve to have your needs met. This is what I want you to fully grasp. You, just like everyone else, have a right to express your needs. You're denying yourself that right when you choose to muffle your own voice. And if you ignore your own needs, you're sending a message that it's okay for other people to ignore your needs as well. I mean, why should they care about your needs, let alone try to meet them, if you don't care enough about them to even acknowledge them? Listen up. Just like everyone else, you also deserve to have your needs met. Although expressing a need doesn't guarantee that it would be met, that's true. However, it would be unfair for you to assume that the other person has no capability or desire to listen to what you have to say. And please don't get me started on this annoying habit of dropping hint bombs, hoping that the other person would eventually, quote unquote, get the message. This passive-aggressive behavior is a surefire way to put a strain on your relationships because you will always feel unconsidered and the other person will always feel like he keeps missing the target, that the bullseye keeps moving around. No one can read minds, so save yourself and the other person the unnecessary stress by just communicating your needs. Just own it and be honest about it. The worst case scenario is that your request will be denied or rejected and you won't get anything, which is actually what's going to happen anyway if you don't say anything. So you really have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Agree? Besides, not communicating your needs will only result in resentment and anxiety. Sure, on the outside, you're not saying anything for the sake of peace and avoiding any potential conflict. So there is that fake appearance of peace and harmony. But on the inside, you're agitated as heck. Your anxiety level continues to rise and build up because you're unhappy. But at the same time, you don't want to say anything because of fear of how the other person might react. When my children were younger, I used to always remind them to express their feelings and thoughts openly, but with one condition. They can say whatever they want to say for as long as they say it with respect and love. Adopt this principle and watch the communication in your relationships and your sense of well-being dramatically improve. Believe me. Best-selling author Shannon Alder said it best when she said that when you give yourself permission to communicate what matters to you in every situation, you will have peace despite rejection or disapproval. Putting a voice to your soul helps you to let go of the negative energy of fear and regret. And finally, the last one for today, habit number 4, is focusing on yesterday's disappointments. In a previous article that I wrote also for Thrive Global, I presented the no regrets mindset as being essential to creating success in life and in business. I pointed out that it will be extremely difficult to succeed and impossible to experience true and lasting happiness in life if you refuse to unshackle yourself from the chains of the past. If your eyes are fixed on the disappointments of yesterday, you would miss out on the opportunities for joy, love, and healing that the present day brings. So much potential value and lessons can be gathered even from our negative experiences. We just have to change the way we view them. Our experiences and the emotions we go through give insight into who we are and what we deeply desire, what we are capable of, and if we are headed in the right direction. So instead of wallowing in self-pity or self-blame, choose to use the past as a motivation to create a better future. Hillary Clinton once said that life is too short, time is too precious, and the stakes are too high to dwell on what might have been. And she's absolutely right about that. The past can't be changed. What's already done can't be undone. But the future is still unwritten, so choose to channel all your energy, attention, and time writing a great story for the future instead of trying to rewrite the past. So there you have it. The first 4 of the 12 habits that encourage stress in your life and how to break them. I hope this has been helpful and enlightening in many ways. I'll be stopping here for now, but make sure to tune in again next week because we will continue with these 12 habits. Meanwhile, what I want you to do as soon as we end this episode is to examine which of these first 4 habits you might be guilty of doing right now and follow the advice I shared with you on how you can break the habit. And once again, thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of Shift Happens Every Day. I can't wait to connect with you again and explore more ways to shift our mindset for living a more fulfilling life. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care and stay safe. If you love listening to this podcast, please leave a review in Apple Podcasts and spread the love around by sharing it with your friends and loved ones. I'd sincerely appreciate your support. Thanks for listening to Shift Happens Every Day. You can access the show notes for this episode and all past episodes at www.mylasaavedra.com/podcast. Please join us again in the next episode of Shift Happens Every Day.